What's going on, guys? Josh here, and we also have
Bryn
and
Austin
and
Jacob.
And today we are going to talk about technology. Have we as a society become too drunk as end users? And also we'll take it from the perspective of people who, in a way, are trying to become influencers. Let's define it. What is technology drunk? When I say that, what do you think of?
completely dependent on it in a non-healthy way.
Absolutely. Someone who cannot go more than several hours without looking at their phones. Exactly.
Well, not even just doing that, but completely immersing yourself
Yeah.
into the technology where you either. So I mean, you look at it this way with with computers, you can get addicted to online, like gambling. You can get addicted to porn. You can get addicted to just on Facebook. You can get addicted to like online shopping. And people spend tons of time, tons of money, and their actual life is hindered from this addiction. So yeah.
You know, it's funny you mentioned Facebook, right?
Porn.
Things like that. Well, when you think of an addiction to online, people really think of porn and they think of gambling.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that there's a much bigger epidemic here in the United States with Facebook. How many times a day do you guys check? And I am constantly on it.
Numerous.
And when you look at it, kind of like you're kind of having to look at yourself and kind of what you're doing. It almost feels like, in some ways, I live here more than I live here.
Yeah.
I spend a substantial amount of time looking at my phone, an unhealthy amount of time. And that's just as an end user.
Most iPhone users, you should, every week, there will be an app or something that pops up that monitors your screen time, and it'll tell you. And I have been disgusted looking at the hours that I've spent on the screen, because I feel like I definitely get out there and I like to live in the here and now. Mm-hmm. I feel like a lot of, especially a certain generation, focuses on and feels like their self-worth comes from the thumbs up and the smiley faces and everything that's coming on Facebook and Snapchat.
Okay,
recognition from
I'm just saying.
But the recognition from strangers, the
validation. We're addicted to the validation.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And I think a lot of the social media, and I say this as somebody who has I don't have Twitter. I think that's the only, or TikTok, because that's dumb.
You don't have a TikTok?
I don't. But
I think you could benefit from the TikTok.
I think that as somebody who has all those social media platforms, and I'm active on all of them. I for a long time I was just Facebook. That was it. That's all I did. But then when I got into creating this online persona, this motorcycle persona, I got an Instagram and I got more active on Snapchat and things like that, just to try to promote that. And it really, if you look at it, the healthy hours of sleep we're supposed to get every day is 8 hours. So that leaves us with 16 hours in the day to live life, right? Mm-hmm. We're looking at yours right now, and that says 7 hours and 55 minutes. So we'll call it
daily average, and down 8% from last week.
So we'll say 8 hours is spent looking at that phone. So now we're down
half of your waking life.
Half of the life that you have awake is spent looking at a phone. And I'll say, Austin, I don't think that you're that bad. I know people that are way worse than either you or me.
I'm pretty bad.
But like I said, before I started promoting an online persona, it was a little different. I feel like I was on a lot less. But when I look at mine, I bet mine's probably worse than yours.
I'd love to see yours. But I think we also, while you're pulling that up, I think we also have to address that technology is night and day from what it used to be, right?
Absolutely.
It used to be when you get a flip phone and you'd have a game called Snake, right?
I have a statistic right here, actually.
Yeah.
The first cell phone hit the market in 1973.
Well,
there you go.
What's this?
It started at 2 hours, and we were like, "Oh, that's that bad." And it's down 44%, and then boom, 5 hours and 14 minutes. That's
12% from last week.
So, it's 5 hours. That's still, in my opinion, 5 hours a day spent looking at this thing is a lot. That's a lot for you to like you said, it's almost half of your waking day.
You know, I beat
So-
you by 4 hours, and I'm trying to understand where those 4 hours came from.
I can probably
Like
narrow
Jacob
that
said,
down, but
porn.
let's.
Or do you also do you do orders at work and stuff on your phone, emails and stuff on your phone?
You know, I do.
So-
I also have my phone up, like when I'm running, you know, playing music videos, and I am an audiophile, so if it's on and playing music, if that, you
Does
know,
that count?
if it counts, then that definitely could be a large portion of it. But I would say that I do enjoy having a lot of face-to-face conversations
Yeah.
and just enjoying my lifestyle. I love reading books, which I know is something that
Yeah, I've
you even
still
have
never
people
I've
who are
never
reading.
gotten into the habit of like tablets. I can't read on tablet. I still need the actual paper. Like
Yeah.
that's just a thing I've never been able to get.
Well, I'll tell you this. There's this amazing thing, and I hope that none of my professors watch this. But I try and multitask. So a lot of times when I'm required to read a book for school, I copy it, I paste it into Word, and I hit the read back. I'll do other stuff, and I'll listen to it as well.
I think
So-
that's a great trick. I mean, technology has obviously advanced, and it is to benefit our lives, but it's also, I feel like, making us as a society much lazier.
Yes. So what was
Yeah.
your statistic? I want to hear.
All right,
that.
so no, so like I said, first cell phone hit the market in 1973. 40 years later, over half the U.S. adult population had one in their pocket. Today, that number is closer to 95%, with 77% of Americans owning a smartphone. So,
See, that sounds crazy, right? But at the same time, I'm going to kind of defend the technology drunkenness.
okay.
And I'll admit, I am totally technology drunk. What used to have to happen is if you wanted to listen to music, you'd have to pull out your boombox and you'd have to listen to
Your
it.
Walkman.
If you wanted to play games, you'd have to pull out your Atari and play with that. You know, different activities. If you wanted to learn something, right? If you wanted to learn how to, you'd have to go to the library. Nowadays, I can do any of that on my phone, and I'll tell you, a good majority of my time that I spend on my phone, and I'll be honest, I usually only get about 4 or 5 hours sleep at night, so I'm on it a lot, is spent learning how to, schoolwork, different things like that. I mean, it's crazy. You can go to college completely on your phone now. And I'm lucky I don't have to look at the statistics as far as... I have an iPad, but it would show really low, so I'd look really good. Maybe be like 1 hour, you know, every couple days.
Well, I think there's definitely positives to technology. There's no doubt about that. Like there's absolute positives. But where the negatives come in is when you start throwing the social media aspect into it. And that's where, as a society, I think that we have become drastically more narcissistic in the realm of needing validation, needing to, this picture that we put up gets this many likes or et cetera, et cetera. And like I've caught myself doing it, like with my Instagram, which is strictly attached to my YouTube and that online persona. I set it up as a business account, so I can literally go in and see how many people have even looked at it, let alone liked it. And I've looked at it and been like, wow, this picture got 2,000 views, but it only has 163 likes. Well, what the hell, you know? And I found myself doing that and going, why do I really care?
On Instagram?
Yeah, oh yeah.
You know what's funny? Mine is set up as a business page as well because I used to have it strictly as a business page. I used Instagram for a period of time when I owned a business, and then when I stopped doing it, I unfollowed everybody in that industry, and then I slowly just kind of, you know, was following hunters. And I would stop using it once hunting season ended, and right before hunting season starts, I'd pretty much close out of Facebook and go right to Instagram, see what everybody else was doing. So-
And I think there's a lot of positive, especially in the business world. There's no better way to promote for free than social media.
Yep.
There's no better way. Like,
I've been in countless bands growing up, and you know,
think about
I will-
if these tools were around when. You
well,
know,
no, I will say that once MySpace came around, when I graduated, around the time I graduated high school, and it became so prevalent, that was the easiest. I mean, and up until then was the easiest for us to get shows, communicate with other bands, you know, get our music out there for labels to hear that weren't in our local scene, you know. The opportunities were endless at that point when, you know, the whole social media thing came about, especially for, you know, young bands that didn't have the reach, you know. And so, and now it's even crazier with there's websites completely dedicated strictly for music and
Yeah.
for the discovery of music. You know, Spotify, you know, like with a premium Spotify, I get what's called a Discover Weekly playlist every week, and it takes. The algorithm looks at what I listen to on a regular basis and finds bands that are similar, songs that are similar, and posts a 30-song playlist every week that's different.
How convenient, right?
Yeah.
Like, and especially for those bands that are up and coming, like how convenient is it that there's an outlet out there that's looking for exactly what they are?
Yeah.
You know, like that. Those benefits are definitely prevalent in most industry. You know what I mean? Like even YouTube. Like I've been sitting there watching YouTube, and an ad will pop up for something like Skillshare. Skillshare is a great place to learn how to do just about anything you want to learn how to do. You want to learn how to edit videos? You can go to Skillshare. You can pay.
You
$10
weren't
a
supposed to
month.
mention them until we get them to sponsor us.
But like there's things like that pop up, and had it not been for me sitting on my couch watching YouTube, I'd have never heard about that place. I'm someone who loves the DIY world. I'd rather teach myself something than.
You ever heard of Instructables?
Oh, absolutely. Like, and there's no storefront for Instructables.
No.
There's no storefront for Skillshare. Like those are called campuses.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, but I can go
Those
learn
are
these
cloud
things.
projects, really.
Yeah, I
you know
mean,
what
like,
Like, there's really no.
There's not. The only way you can access that is through technology.
Yeah.
You know what's funny is you mentioned advertising, right? Funny enough, Facebook actually still allows free advertising. Not in the traditional sense, but when they put out the live videos, right? They would promote it to everybody. Everybody who knew you would get a notification that Bryn just went live. Free
It was
promotion
so
right there.
annoying.
And it was testing it. Well, what's funny enough...
God damn it, he's at it again.
What's funny enough is they actually never got rid of that free promotion. So if you own a business or anything like that, you hit go live, everybody under the sun who knows of you is going to know you went live. That's free advertising. I'm surprised that Facebook hasn't realized, hey, this works really well. Let's offer to, charge a small amount
Right.
to send notifications to everybody. So...
Well, it's social media by and large has helped out local business especially a lot. I mean, there's landscapers that have landscaping pages on Facebook, and they draw tons and tons and tons of business out of people in their area because somebody searches the search bar in Marketplace and they put landscaper. Every one of those people come up.
Or even just the Facebook groups like the Middleton Matters for Middleton.
Absolutely.
Hey, does anybody do concrete? Actually, my cousin Joey just moved in from
Right.
New Jersey. He does concrete.
I feel like that's a made up person.
Joey might be a made-up person. You'll have to join the group to find out.
For the sake of the story, though.
But I don't know. Let's talk about it. Do either of you own businesses or try and influence anything?
I do run a business that's locally here, and it is very interesting because we have advertised via newspaper, magazines, local publications around town, and I mean, you hear of the positives and the people that are coming in from there, but no one can even get close to how many people are constantly coming to the business that are following us via Facebook, Instagram, social media. It is the best way that I can connect to my customers, let them know exactly what's going on with the business, and bringing them in on a daily basis.
So what's funny about that is I've ran political campaigns and I've ran my own. And you get information about voters, so I know exactly who I want to target based off of metadata. With that information, I know exactly who to hit with that information. So if it's District 11, I say, okay, these people have voted Republican in the past if I'm running as a Republican, and these people always vote Republican. So what I can do for literally 1 cent is I can send it right to your screen. And I'm not guessing and saying, hope this sticks. I know who you are. So you can use that information because of this technology, target those people. Whereas if you go to KBOY, or not KBOY, one of the local radio stations, it's $50 for one radio ad. And if you're wanting to get people's attention, you got to do usually 4 or 5 a day. So you're looking at $200 to $250. Whereas if I spend $50 I can run that ad and hit, thousands of people.
We ran a budget of, I want to say it was close to $4,000
Mhm.
to use with the newspaper, the magazine, the publications, and everything. And it cost me this much to do anything on Instagram and Facebook.
Mhm.
And that is by far and large the best way and most convenient way.
Well, if you're
for
getting a
people
better
to get
turnout,
information
if you're
about
getting a
us.
better
Yeah.
turnout from the free one, that's also more money and profits too.
Absolutely. It's a smaller overhead.
Exactly. I mean, it's
But I mean, so I actually had I had an interesting experience a couple weeks ago. I had this tree in my backyard. It's this massive, massive tree, and I hate it. I want it gone. And my neighbor, she's probably in her early 70s. She came over and we were talking about it. And I was like, yeah, I don't know if I'm gonna try and take the tree down myself, or if I'm gonna have to hire somebody out to do it or not. And she's like, well, I'll keep my eye out and I'll try to see if I can find any good tree guys. I was like, awesome, thanks, I really appreciate it. Well, about 2 days later, she comes over and she has a newspaper, and she's circled one ad in the newspaper for a tree guy. And she comes over, she gives me this newspaper. She's like, I'll just keep the paper, it's not a big deal. But, I found that tree guy, I figured I'd let you know. And this lady, like I said, early 70s, she did not grow up in the social media technology world that's so heavy like we have.
Mhm.
And I'm 30 years old, so I kind of saw, I think we're all kind of in that generation where we saw the world before technology really took over versus the world it is today. But I thought it was absolutely insane that she had for 2 days, she was looking for a tree guy and she found one ad in the newspaper for a tree guy. When I had, right after that conversation, jumped on social media, and I already had like 7 tree guys coming to give me a bid on cutting this tree down.
within minutes.
Yeah, within I mean instantly. Like I said, right after that conversation, I already knew what it was going to cost from 5 of those 7 people. So, it's one of those things where it's like, is technology killing other industries?
Yeah, but so that's not back to the actual topic though. It's more, is it affecting us as people more?
Yeah.
Is technology really a negative in our personal lives or in our society?
I think it's a double-edged sword. I think it's definitely helping a lot. It's definitely making lives easier. I mean, on a daily. Like I couldn't carry around any other way to play 700 songs when I'm at work. You know what I mean? Like,
Well, let's look at it this
We only
way.
have 700.
I have some
Something
more
like that.
interesting stats.
Let's hear it.
So, the CDC data reveals that for all Americans under the age of 75, suicide rates started going up faster between the ages of 15 and 34 in the past decade.
do you think that correlates to that narcissistic trait that I was talking about?
I think it does. And then a couple of these also kind of hit on that point a little bit. In May 2018, Blue Cross Blue Shield did a study that stated that diagnoses of anxiety and depression have risen by 33% since just 2013,
Oh wow.
with that rate rising even faster among millennials, up to 47%.
It's not surprising though, because a lot of these kids, when we went to school,
I blame cyber.
we went to school, we came home, did our chores,
And
we
we
played
were
in the woods.
With
Yeah,
your fists.
Friends. Nowadays, if you have a bully at school, it's almost nearly impossible to escape them, right? You can imagine that if a kid's getting bullied, and they're not my
Whatever.
kids, I tell them to punch him in the throat.
Go to
But-
Petro, get an AK. It's like
Yeah.
$75.
If you have a kid who's getting bullied, and they try and escape it by, let's say, blocking them, they're going to get made fun of by even more kids for doing that.
Right.
And that main bully is going to continue with that. So it's almost like they have to face things. And we all know that it's easy. You call them keyboard warriors for a reason. Everybody's tough behind this.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody can kick your
I'm
ass.
tough behind anything.
Yeah.
What are you talking about?
Everybody's just ready to brawl and they can kick your ass behind that.
I want to jump on that. So, with this business that I help run, it's a restaurant. And oh my God, how much I hate Yelp. How much I hate Google reviews. How much I hate all of this. Because here's the thing.
Oh, God.
If there is an issue, if there is a problem, if there is something that I can do to make your service and experience better, I want to do it. There's a reason why I'm there. Why do you feel the need
Yeah.
to not say anything, stew in this negative emotion because of something, and then you're going to hop on behind this keyboard and then shit on us,
Yeah.
essentially.
Yeah.
I mean, it's terrible. Like, where has this communication factor gone in this...
It dehumanizes.
it's a resistance for conflict, even though it could just be a resolution.
Yeah.
I feel like the topic that we're discussing is, have we become technology drunk? The answer is yes, we have. Now, what do we do to fix it? What do we do to...
I think this
To
is part
change.
of, this is part of human evolution, in my opinion. Like, we have gotten so smart that we've created these things that make our lives easier, but they've also impacted us in a negative light. They've turned so many people into narcissists. They've brought anxiety and suicide rates up. They've taken the human interaction of conflict and made it completely and totally faceless and dehumanized it to where you don't have to feel like you're shitting on that person or that person's passion or that person's business or livelihood. You're just typing some words on a keyboard now. And I think it had that option, had that Yelp option not been there, and that person had to look at you in the face and say, well, this is my problem and this is what I want solved. There's no doubt in my mind that somebody who's running a business, that whose livelihood is that business, would try their hardest to fix it. Because of technology, we don't even think about that anymore. We just think this Yelp review is going to get so many, so many people are going to find this helpful, or et cetera, et cetera. Or even on Facebook, like when we leave Facebook reviews on businesses and things like that, like this is going to get so
Or
many
you
likes.
just
It's
comment.
country.
Imagine, look at all the sponsored videos you see on Facebook that have like hundreds or tens of thousands of comments, and me willy-nilly from Boise, Idaho, I'm gonna get there and put my 2 cents in. It's like it's gonna mean something.
Yeah, it's a
Yeah.
validation.
Like, nobody, like, well, 17 people, one of them being from frickin' Nigeria, for all I know, is gonna see that. It has no relevance to anything. Like, it's like,
But it goes back to that narcissism thing.
yeah,
In that
you're
person's
so,
mind,
the
they think
gratification
they're so,
for
they're
it.
so important that when somebody looks into this restaurant, they're going to focus in and say, oh, well, they really sucked at filling up my water, and
So,
I'm going to bitch about it.
Funny enough, I want to focus on Yelp for 2 parts. First off, when I imagine a Yelp reviewer, I imagine somebody
Eric
who's
Cartman.
wearing.
Yes, I was just about to
I
say.
imagine a white,
Or,
somebody
you know,
wearing a
Kyle's
white robe, laying down by the fire, typing, sitting sideways.
Well, see, I imagine like Kyle Broflovsky's dad from South Park, like sipping his wine in his den. Like he's writing a novel,
Well,
but he's
that's
writing a
funny.
Yelp review.
Actually,
It's just
people,
like,
that's the funny thing. There are people who consider them like professional Yelp reviewers.
yeah.
And I mean, I don't know why you would do that, because all you get is a couple free meals. Like, companies are like, hey, we'll roll out the red carpet, come review us. And then, of course, they get their wine at home and lay in their white robe and write Yelp reviews.
Everyone's a critic.
I think
But you know what? At the same time, I had an experience at Applebee's in California years ago. In San Francisco.
Yeah, look at
Wow.
I was in California.
Wow, fuck them.
Applebee's and California.
The food was
same
legit
time.
shit.
Oh, man.
But I didn't even finish the steak. I was like, fuck this.
They microwave
You know?
them.
Yeah. So I was like, fuck this. So I left it. Dude didn't even ask if I wanted a box or anything. He comes and grabs my fucking plate, and I watch him walk back and chuck it in the garbage can. So in that instance, I was like, okay, this guy's a piece of shit. Like, he was a crappy waiter the whole time. Like, I've never
Right.
experienced a waiter this bad. But there was nobody else there except for a cook and him. So he was probably disgruntled because it was understaffed or something, like some bullshit like that. Although I was the only person there, maybe one other table. But I mean, he was just like a piece of shit. Like, so I was like, fuck that. I would never make a phone call because I'm not going to look up a phone number if technology wasn't there. But I wasn't going to leave a Yelp review. In that instance, I was like, I'm going to tell corporate what a piece of shit place that is and how they've lost my business going forward. And to this day, I still sometimes eat at Applebee's. They offered me a free meal. Corporate did that, like, hey, we'll take care of you, we'll take care of some of your friends. It's like, and I responded back like I had the high ground. I was like, no, forget that. I'm not coming into your shitty establishment. And then my wife's like, let's go to Applebee's.
Let's go to Applebee's.
No, I think we definitely have become technology drunk, but I don't see it as a horrible thing. I see it as if it's used right and it's used in moderation. I think just like with anything, I think that it can definitely be a positive thing. But if you're spending, half of your awake life on your phone, that might be too much. I don't know. I think that's to each their own. I mean, if you run a business and if you are in touch with every client you could possibly have, any customer you could possibly have, I think that's probably acceptable, because if you weren't on your phone trying to reach those people, you would still spend those hours trying to reach those people some other way.
So let me ask you this, right? If we were to snap and phones and computers and laptops went away, what do you think would happen? Like, let's just
mass
say EMP.
chaos.
EMP went off.
Mass chaos. People would not. I mean, look at what happens when these popular Instagram people get their page blocked or banned.
Mm-hmm.
They fucking have meltdowns.
Yeah.
Magnify that on a massive scale. That's what you'd have.
Yeah, I agree.
I think a lot of people. So, I don't think it would be chaos. I think a lot of people would mentally not have the capacity to be able to change back.
Yeah.
Especially like people younger than us that literally didn't know the other half of life without technology.
Yeah.
That have literally grown up, like the toddlers that knew how to use smartphones from the get-go.
Yeah.
Like I see my friends' kids that
Oh,
can
it blows
literally-
me away, man.
So, do you think suicides would increase?
I think suicide,
Oh,
either
yeah.
that or, like, I'm talking just exuberant amounts of, like, innocence PTSD. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
it would affect a lot of people mentally to the point where I don't think they could live a normal life.
Yeah, I think there's so much good that comes with it, and we've listed a lot of that. There's also a lot of bad. So for instance, right, my dad just retired this year from Special Forces. And because he was in Iraq, I was like, you know what? I wanted to see the whole Saddam Hussein execution video, which was recorded on a really crappy smartphone.
Mm-hmm.
Not smartphone, I don't know.
Like a flip phone.
Yeah, flip phone.
Yeah.
But you can easily access and see death, like no tomorrow, and it pops up in almost every human's Facebook feed, like, hey, click this button and you can see this person die.
Yeah.
Different things like that. You can see this, even when it's like, good guy with the gun stops bad guys, all of a sudden you're seeing somebody get their head blown off. Different things like that. And it's as easy as a kid clicking a button saying, uncover. And I mean, for me, I think that kind of changed a lot of how I viewed things when I saw that execution. I was like, damn, I don't know how.
Well,
But
Desensitizing.
I remember, man, like when I was younger and the internet was still,
In its first decade.
yeah, like not what it is now, but almost like the wild, wild west, man. You could get on there and find crazy stuff, especially for like a middle school, high school kid. Like I shouldn't have been watching half of that shit.
Well,
Like, and
that
think about it.
so much.
And you think it, but no, and I'm not the only person that happened to. You know what I mean? Like, there was all sorts of kids that watched like just fucked up stuff as a kid because they had access to it.
Yeah.
Same
Yeah.
thing. You know what I mean? They could.
Well, think about how many people.
Anything.
Think about how many people today don't understand what LiveWire was.
LimeWire?
LimeWire.
Yeah.
LimeWire. Excuse me.
LimeWire, bro.
Don't understand what LimeWire was. Like you could access anything digital, anything, music, movies, computer programs, anything that was a file. You could access that. You could put it on your computer. You could watch it.
So, funny enough, you guys mentioned LimeWire, things like that. How I grew up, when I lived with my dad, I wasn't allowed to surf the internet. I wasn't even allowed in the living room. Like, we had 2 living rooms. One had a big screen TV, and kids weren't allowed in there. And I'm talking little kiddos, 4th grade, things like that. So, I only watched TV once in a 2-year period, and it was because Thanksgiving was happening and we were hosting and there was a football game on. With the computer, I got to get on it once, and somehow I got to a chat room. I don't know if my dad had it open or something.
Ooh.
But in 3rd or 4th grade, I was chatting with a woman who was like in her 40s. And funny enough, I'm like, oh yeah, I'm that old too. something stupid like that. So that was my only experience with the internet.
Catfishing at a young age.
Apparently, yeah. Probably introduced myself as Wolf.
Yeah.
My name is Josh. But
Wolf.
all my friends
Dick
call me
Wolf.
You have to call me Dragon.
So, funny enough, like, the experience that, like, a lot of people got, like, you guys probably got to play on computers and stuff. I had to learn to type at school, and that was it.
Mhm.
So,
No Oregon Trail? That's cool.
no, actually, I played Oregon Trail once, and that was it.
I always
I'm-
died of
I'm
dysentery.
gonna say I'm convinced the purpose of that game was to show you how easily you can die.
Of dysentery.
absolutely.
Don't leave your house. Don't
I don't know
run away.
anybody who ever beat Oregon Trail. Nobody ever made it to the coast. I don't think.
I don't think.
I don't think.
I don't think they even wrote that program.
No.
You know what I mean? Like,
You're
it's
just
not
gonna
even
die.
in.
Yeah.
It's not even
It's like,
in
yeah.
the code.
You hit this point, you're dead. So yeah, I don't know. Like for me, it was different. And then like I didn't get my first phone until I was 19 years old, 18 or 19, when I could buy it myself. Because I remember growing up, like cell phones were a big deal. My cousin, who was a year younger than me, she had one, but it was a prepaid one. That they spent hundreds of dollars for the stupid flip phone.
Yeah.
Bought her minutes initially, and outside of that, you could play Snake. And that was it. So
Well, I mean, calls were free after 7 or after 9. Or
9.
something.
I
that
remember
was
my
later
mom.
on.
So my mom
That was
was
when I was like 18.
when like cell phones were like still huge and bulky. My mom was pretty high up in IBM, so I remember she had like a car phone, the one that looked like it was in like a
Yes.
lunchbox. You know what I mean?
Sure,
It was like a
yeah.
full-on corded phone in her car, and then she had like the big old one, that, and then like the Motorola first like flip. It was just like the flip mic. It's still like
Yeah,
big
yeah.
chunky fucker. Like. Dude, it was weird, like seeing the evolution of cell phones because
Well, and think about this: like, how many middle school teachers in the late '90s to early 2000s are pissed the fuck off because of these? Because you'll never have a calculator with you all the time.
yeah, right.
I feel like
Guess what, Miss Shoemaker?
I feel like with my childhood there was a lot of like almost like coming of age years, like when you turned in my family 8 years old, like I got a Game Boy,
Mhm.
boom, that was the start. And then I was like 14, 15, 16 and I got a Motorola Razr, my first cell phone. Oh my gosh, I miss that thing so much. That was fantastic. But now I feel like it's almost a necessity because we need to be connected to start that at a younger age. I have an 8-year-old son who I feel like, unfortunately, needs a cell phone for whatever purposes, just to be able to communicate with me.
Yeah, what if something happens?
So we talked about that in our house because I'm like, man, I'm terrified. Like, we know that there's messed up people out there. And I think that, being able to access the internet and see more and more cases of that outside of just locally, it makes you want to be proactive as a parent. Like we just had in Idaho a huge bust of sex predators.
That we did.
One here in Middleton who is 18 years old and was talking about kidnapping a kid walking home from school in this very small community.
Wow.
So, I mean, it's something that you have to face as a reality. And for us, we decided, you know what, we don't want to necessarily give our kids phones, even though they want them. And luckily with the technology, and part of our drunkenness is appealing to people who may not want to give their kids phones, they have...
Microchip implants.
No, they have watches that you can call certain numbers, only that are put in there by your parents. So, we could set it up to where you can call me, you can call your mom, you can call your grandma. That's it. And then outside of that, it's got GPS tracking and location services.
So
I can't remember who the kid. Jared used to hang out with a kid back in the day that had one of those, like, pretty much kid cell phones.
Oh,
where it
yeah,
had like
yeah.
1, 2, 3, or 4.
Yeah.
You pushed 1, it called mom. You pushed 2, it called dad. You pushed 3, it called
Yeah.
the police. You pushed 4, it called like the ER or some shit. Like
911 was too hard for them to learn.
no, it didn't have.
It didn't
the,
have numbers.
It just
It
had
said
1, 2, 3, or 4.
Shoot, I want to see one of these.
And you literally just push it. It's like a speed
Jitterbug.
dial. It's like speed dial. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But like I can't remember who had that.
I want to.
But either way, I
I
mean,
remember it. I just don't remember who.
I think it was Michael Perkins.
It might have been Perk. I think it was.
Name drop.
Shout out Michael Perkins.
Yeah, Michael.
What you doing?
We haven't forgot about you.
My mama was talking about you today, actually.
Becky's a saint.
I still don't like you that much. I'm just kidding. Well, I think technology is. There's no question it's changed us as a race, as a human race. I don't think there's no question it's definitely changed us. But some of the things that we're seeing with technology today, like I mean, a lot of it is it's literally the shit that we had that they put on the 50s cartoons. You know what I mean? Like, there's no Jetsons cars flying around or anything like that, but like, you legitimately, like my girlfriend, to get into work, she has to scan her retina. Like, that's
Really?
crazy. Oh yeah. She works in the financial industry, so
Look at like 3D printing.
Yeah.
We're literally making
Yes.
strides to a universal fabricator.
Exactly.
You know, like
it's wild. I mean, even with some of the simplest cell phones now, like we were just talking about this the other day, where you can look at your phone and it'll unlock it, but if he looks at it, it won't.
You know what's funny is
Like, that's futuristic shit that we used to look at and go, oh, one day this will be a thing. Well, that the future is now. You know what I mean? Like,
right.
Back in the 90s,
So-
only James Bond had that.
agree with him or not on any of his positions. There's one candidate in the Democratic Party that is sounding the alarm as far as technology goes. Andrew Yang. He's talking about these jobs are being automized. Like, they're going to be where truckers are not driving. You know, people are not going to be manufacturing goods, and he is, to give him credit. Outside of that, I don't know that I agree with him on anything else.
You know, we're giving everybody,
But
was
with
it 10
that,
grand or
it's
something?
not necessarily that jobs are going to disappear. It's that jobs are you're gonna have people are gonna have to learn how to do something.
Yeah.
Like,
Well,
you're gonna have to learn how to take care of that robot that's manufacturing that thing. You're gonna have to learn how to service that automated truck that's driving those things.
remember that saying that got called racist when people started saying it, they'll learn to code?
Yeah.
Everybody started saying, if you say that, it's because you're racist, which made absolutely zero sense. Maybe one of our subscribers can
Tell us how that's
tell us
racist.
how that's racist. I'm really confused. But yeah, people were like, hey, learn to code. And that was kind of their answer to truckers and everybody being like, we're going to be out of jobs because they're now using semis and doing tests, having them do deliveries. Right? So that's a huge industry,
Well, I
just
mean,
that alone.
not just in the industry aspect. Like, there's gonna be a time whether people like me, who are gearheads, who love, you know, fast cars and that run off of gasoline, et cetera, like, there's gonna be a
Won't be
time,
allowed.
yeah, where you're not gonna be able to drive a car because that's gonna be the way it is, because these cars are learning to communicate with each other better than humans can communicate with each other, and they're showing in tests where accidents are almost non-existent.
So at what
Alright,
point do we
robot.
get to the point where technology has become too convenient? Like, to me, I'm rewatching right now that Disney film WALL-E and seeing what society was in that film. I mean, literally sitting on a hover chair doing nothing, morbidly obese.
Idiocracy.
Exactly, same thing. At what point is there a line that we need to?
Well, that was my next question. Once these jobs go away and everything is automated, and your trucks are automated, your cars are automated, and your jobs are automated, and what is there for those people to do?
Jerk off on webcam in a Santa Claus hat.
Go away, I'm paying!
There is no way to automate a premium snap, so, you know. Just saying.
Just don't let the IRS know that.
But like legitimately, like, what does life look like when we get to the point where the people that are repairing those robots that took over those factory jobs, or that took over those restaurant industry jobs, or that took over those transportation jobs, what happens when those jobs get automated and that
Yeah.
automated truck pulls into a garage where diagnostics are automatically uploaded, and then the proper robots come to fix the things that are
So
wrong with it?
are we still on the tip that this automation of everything won't affect the amount of jobs?
That's what I'm saying.
It
Like,
will.
at some point it will. But,
Yeah,
but
so-
in our lifetime,
So
it
now,
will.
are we ever going to, you know, and this is obviously a very sore subject here in this country, but, you know, with that perspective that everything is automized, and so, like, capitalism can't thrive in a
You're
world
right.
like that.
Because what
Because
currency
yeah,
we use.
who's gonna be driving capitalism if nobody's working? You know what I mean? And
Well, I think there's a lot of people out there that are pushing for that kind of utopia that are somehow in their brains thinking that, well, everything's going to be rainbows and unicorns and we're just going to get to stay home with our families in the house that we can't answer how we
that's
pay
also
for.
not progressive. It's not productive nor progressive for society.
Yeah, I'm
It's-
You know,
It's
it's
gonna end-
complacency, and that's dangerous.
It's going to end where there's a quarter to half of the population working security, protecting these companies, and the other half trying to burn them down. That's my prediction.
honest to God, I think you're right.
Corporate boogaloo,
Yep.
Corporate boogaloo. That's.
Yeah.
2074.
I definitely think where we're at today, we are in the early stages of being technology drunk. But I don't think necessarily it's bad. I think it's in a lot of ways can be very constructive. Like just from a standpoint of friends and family and relationships, like I can always talk to my girlfriend. I can always talk to my parents. I can always talk to my friends.
Oh yeah.
Where that aspect really wasn't
I
there
live
before.
1,100 miles away from home.
Mhm.
You know, today I got to FaceTime with my mom and my grandma,
Yeah,
who
which
I
is a
haven't
positive
seen in
aspect.
person in over a year.
So this is that
You know.
positive aspect where technology really gives us a lot of luxuries that that I personally think that humans today need. You know what I mean? We need that peace of mind that our mom 1,100 miles away is good. You know, we need if we have something wrong, say we blow a tire on the interstate, just
AAA.
from my exactly, we can call right now and have somebody come help us.
Mm-hmm.
As where like back in the 60s, 70s, if you blew a tire, unless you knew how to do
Payphone.
it, then you either
You
had to
started
walk
walking.
you started walking to the payphone or hope that somebody was nice enough to pull over because
Right.
you had no way to call your significant other and say, hey, I got a flat tire, or call AAA and say, hey, I got a flat tire. So
Right.
that's that aspect that's really healthy and positive, I believe. But on the flip side of that, where we're talking about automation becoming such a thing that capitalism, that human innovation is just gone. Like, who's going to sit down and dream about how to build the next best thing if everything is automated?
Yeah.
Who's, like, at what point does the human innovation side of it get wiped completely out? Like, and we just become stagnant?
At what point does humanity get wiped out completely?
We'll see. Because at that point, because I mean, if everything's automized and
yeah.
human innovation completely gets scrapped, but things are still going to have to progress for society. Is it going to be AI that's doing the
Well,
innovation at that point?
and that's where it gets
if AI is
dangerous.
doing the innovation, I mean,
Yeah.
Then you get
you're building cognitive,
Well, and there's a huge discussion
structures
about
there. If they're
Yeah.
the ones being innovative, then
It's dangerous. And that's right now, I think where we're at is we are in the beginning stages of becoming technology drunk. And I think that we've seen technology evolve to where it's at, we'll say 2 decades, 3 decades?
Mm.
Yeah, give or take. What happens when we're 3
I'd
more
say in the past 20 years.
Yeah, so we're 20 years into this
And it's
huge
snowballed.
technological revolution. We had the Industrial Revolution earlier in the century, or last century, and we're having a technological revolution right now. And I think we're in the very beginning of it.
Mm-hmm.
That assembly line hasn't been invented yet. That financing option hasn't been invented yet. And those are the terms I'm using to describe the things that were huge in the Industrial Revolution,
Right.
where people figured out, well, if I build things on an assembly line, I can crank out products. If I let people finance them, then they'll buy them. We're seeing that microcosm to the macrocosm happen right now in technology.
I think one of the most interesting ones in that aspect is cryptocurrency.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Without technology and without the advancements we've made, and just even guys at home just finding out stuff that you can mine this in a sense fabricated currency from the web. And now it's actually holding standing.
Yeah, cryptocurrency is amazing, and the cool thing about it is when you think of cryptocurrency,
Josh
not
knows
to get
a lot
completely off subject, right? There's some really awesome things happening. Like, people are using it now not only to get their, make it as an investment, but they're looking at it based off of projects. So there's things called altcoins. Like, there's one that I really like, and what it does is it says, hey, you know what? We're going to be like Pandora, but if you play a rapper or you play an artist of any kind, we're going to take your monthly subscription and we're going to pay them a percentage of it. So it doesn't go to the record label and then trickle down or anything like that. They're paying direct to the artist. They're cutting them checks every month. So if you
By
like,
using crypto.
if you like Ja Rule, because Ja Rule is very relevant.
I'm more of a Pitbull guy, but you know.
Yeah.
Mr. Worldwide.
Both
I like
very
them
relevant
reels,
right
you know.
now. Yeah, I mean, if you like them and you listen to their music, every time you listen to more of their music, let's say, now it can work out to be fractions of a penny if you listen to 1,000 songs a month, but it's not going to the record label. It's not going to these different people. They're saying, screw all these people. We want to give it to the artist. So,
What's the beauty of there's a website called Bandcamp, and it allows artists that aren't signed, even if they are signed, you know, it allows them to put their music on this website. You can stream it or you can buy it, and a lot of like independent artists have like a pay what you want feature, and you can literally download it for $0, you know, or you can pay them $20 if you want to. You pay what you want to the artist, you know. And,
In hopes that you would donate to
Yeah.
their art.
but on this website, it also allows you to sell merch. You know, it also allows you to promote tours. You know, there's a lot of really cool things about this website for independent artists. You know, what I mean, people that don't have the backing of a record label.
see, and that would only work in a digital age online.
Oh, yeah.
Where the cost is $10 to $20 a month to maintain that website. Whereas, like, look at that example. I think it was either in San Francisco or Salt Lake City. Somebody opened a bakery and they said, pay what you want. Pay what you want and we'll make it. That's now closed. They tried
Well, of
that.
course, yeah.
They lost money, of course, and they're like, hey, we got to
Because
shut
the
it down.
storefront's overhead, regardless of what industry you're in.
Well, you're paying rent,
Exactly.
and especially in the
Employees.
food industry. That's an asinine concept in the food industry, because like you're always going to have to pay for product.
I'd walk in and pay.
You have a
that's what I want
concrete
to
price
pay.
you have to pay.
Yeah,
for
like,
it.
and it
Overhead never
very
changes.
rarely does it fluctuate going down.
Yeah.
Like unless you're talking like vegetables and it's harvest season, the fluctuation usually isn't going down. It is a steady climb up.
Right.
You know. At a bakery, you know, flour never goes down in price.
Yeah.
It's just going to
Well,
steadily rise in price.
Because when you have an online business, you have such a drastically lower overhead than if you have a storefront business.
Yeah.
I've got a business I don't even think about. It costs me $11 a month. I leave it alone. I don't do anything. Like, and I can afford to do that, and I could do that. I could do that 100 times over, and still be cheaper than renting a place downtown, Boise,
Oh yeah.
to have a store. Not even counting the inventory. So
You cannot
There's-
find commercial real estate to rent for $11 a month.
no,
And that's something technology has brought us, is the option, the
You
ability to do that without having an astronomical overhead.
Yeah.
You can, like, there's online stores that completely and totally just drop ship.
yep.
So they don't have to keep a warehouse full of inventory. They don't have to pay somebody to pick an order. They don't have to pay, the only thing they have to pay for is postage and shipping.
You know what's funny is I actually know a guy who's a multimillionaire, and he gave me the best advice I ever heard. It's back when I owned a clothing company, right? Back before I professionally got fat and I was into bodybuilding. I owned a supplement company, I owned a peptide research company, and I owned a clothing company. In the clothing company, I was doing all the fucking work. I was driving, picking up my orders from a local place here, paying them a premium to print them and everything, and driving them and shipping each order out individually right from here. And I asked him, he was successful, and I was like, man, how do you keep yourself busy? You know, like, how do you do it? So he had so many other things. He's like, well, the one thing I learned is my hands can only do so much work. I can only make so much money from these hands. But other people's hands are infinite. I can always replace them. So I'd rather make pennies from other people's hands than dollars, which are limited, from my own. And I was like, man, that's genius. And really that relates back to technology as well. That's where he was pushing everything he worked on. So he posts a fucking picture, different things like that. So he had everybody else doing the work, which a lot of times that's what our technology is doing. All the work for us. I don't go out and like try and advertise every day on Google. I'm ranked 5th in my category for a state for one of my businesses. 5th to pop up if you type in a specific thing. And don't do anything for that. I did the work and now it does it itself.
Right.
So, let me ask you this. You're trying to become an influencer with League Moto, right?
Mm-hmm.
You want to do motocross stuff, you want to build bikes, you want to build a brand around that, you want to do a documentary. So you kind of have the other side of the coin where you're trying to be an influencer. How do you think your reach will be now comparatively to if we didn't have this technology?
If you didn't have this technology, there would be an impossibility. Completely impossible.
This conversation, if we didn't have the technology.
Absolutely.
I don't think it'd be completely impossible, but it'd be really fucking hard.
Well, I mean,
You could do the documentary, you could
Film
build the
festivals,
bikes, you could
like-
start the business, but the promotion and it would be a lucky strike too, like a documentary. Like say you
right.
knew somebody that worked at PBS,
Exactly.
or you knew somebody that
Right.
worked for ABC, or
Well, so the
somebody
basis-
that could get you in.
The basis
you know,
of the Lead Moto channel is completely and totally motorcycle based, and what I mean by that is there's going to be moto vlogs about motorcycle related topics and beginning riders and things like that. Like I could absolutely write articles as a columnist and try my best to get them published into magazines before this technology, but that's not in my wheelhouse. You get what I'm saying? Like that's something that I don't even know where to start with that. I'm not a writer. I don't have connections, publicists or connections with any kind of magazines or anything like that. But in today's day and age, I can get behind a camera, I can show the skills that I have working on motorcycles, building motorcycles, I can put a GoPro on my motorcycle, talk about these subjects while I ride, demonstrate them, and then I can do something so simple as to just upload it to my computer and upload it to YouTube, done.
Yeah.
That's it. And that it just doesn't, that does not exist prior to this.
No, that's what I'm saying. My main thing with what I was just saying is that it's not impossible.
Right.
Yeah.
But it would just be really hard.
It'd be
Well,
super
look at-
hard.
Because
this.
it's super nuanced too. The more nuanced things were back in the day, the harder they were to get off.
Right.
You
Look
know,
at it this
like-
way. I've made some short films, right? And I've put them out, and people have liked them, hopefully. But, you know, I made those, put them out. People can see them anywhere in the world, except for China, who's blocked YouTube.
Thanks,
But,
communism.
yeah. You know, outside of that, anybody can access that.
Why
It
is
used
Winnie
to
the
be...
Pooh so mean?
I love South Park. It used to be where if you recorded a video, I actually made my first video before I really dealt with technology. It was during my first marriage, and my ex-wife loved to control everything, and I didn't care about it.
I thought you were going to say beat you. I was gonna-
Yeah.
Sore subject, I'm sorry.
No, she
Not as sore as he used to be.
she like. So.
Sorry.
No, it's fine. I've had enough counseling. I'm good. No, so seriously though, I created my first short film. Fucking hilarious. Probably the best work I did that wasn't ever edited. And I didn't put it out because I didn't know anything about technology. I actually learned more about technology after my divorce. So I was like, well, I'm guessing I'm single. I better find out what this Plenty of Fish is. You know, sort of thing.
Porn. That's what he was looking at.
Plenty of Fish?
No.
Plenty of Fish is not porn.
No,
That is a
Well, I
date.
mean,
No, that's
It's not a dating site. Let's call it what it is.
Okay, all right.
I'm in a very
It's-
bad place, and I would like to have the accompaniment.
I need a
of the
savior.
opposite
I mean,
sex.
he didn't actually.
No, that's Backpage.
He-
You know what's funny is I had no idea what Backpage was up until about a year ago.
Right before it got shut down.
My brother was explaining. I was like, "Please, you can get these people like this." And then I was talking to my wife about it one day, and I pulled it up to show her. So,
Yeah,
you know,
what
if
about?
we trust each other, and it wasn't there.
Yeah.
It's gone.
yeah.
There's a website called FetLife, FETLife.com,
Yeah,
and
Like
it's
Fetish Life?
yeah,
Oh,
So-
it's a
so-
strange community.
It's very strange, actually. So I work with
Oh, not kink shaming.
I used to work with. I don't work with him anymore. But I worked with a guy who he's very open about him and his wife's marriage. They have an open marriage under the guise that any time that they go out of their marriage, they have to video it because it's making content for their FetLife page. And I was like, you gotta be kidding me, right? Like, this is a real thing. And he was like, yeah. And he opens it up, he shows me, and he's like, it's a legitimate thing. Like,
Oh,
there's some wild stuff out there on this on the interwebs. It was mind blowing. I was like, wait, that's your wife? Like, that's not you though. Oh, okay, well, whatever.
well, see, that's where they fucked up though. Is instead of putting it on Pornhub and making the money, they're putting it on FetLife.
FetLife makes money.
Does it make money
So
like
that's I asked him that question.
Okay.
Why don't you have this on Pornhub? And he was like, well, because we make more money off FetLife. And I was like, what do you mean? And he was like, well, to get our stuff, you have to pay $5 a month.
Oh, it's like a premium. type
Yes,
thing.
yes. It's not just like
It's not
you get
based
on
on just
there.
views.
No. Yep, it's a.
Well, you can do that on Pornhub too.
You can.
You
but-
get on a porn star's like specific like page. Like at the bottom of it, they'll have like pay videos. The ones
Why do you
pay
guys
for.
pay?
Yeah,
I don't
it's so
pay for
free.
shit.
It's so free.
I never paid for it. I'm just saying
I'm
that
just
that is
saying,
an
never
option
mind.
on Pornhub
I don't know
as
anything
well.
about that. I'm a good Christian boy. I don't watch that stuff.
The freaky stuff is the stuff you pay for,
Fucking
though.
heathens. Jesus. This is what I'm talking about.
This got derailed real fast.
But I mean,
Real conversation between men.
Well, but hold on now. Hold on. This is a real aspect of what technology has brought us. Like, you get a divorce immediately, dating site. Like, you
Well,
don't.
it's also like porn has ruined dating. Like, especially
Absolutely.
for younger kids,
Oh,
like
yeah.
porn has ruined intimacy.
Can you imagine? Like, we grew up with Playboys. I think you guys are all 30s, right?
Yeah.
Well,
Barely.
No, you know.
Okay. We grew up with Playboys.
Yeah.
Right? Probably you too, right? You had the magazine. You hid it from your parents. That
And
was
the videos we did have were so cheesy and just like
Well, you had to
just
go to-
basic sex. You know what I mean?
You had
Like-
to go to a friend's house to watch it anyway. So you're
Right.
like, you want to see my dad's porn
So-
collection?
Well,
But with that,
I think I know where you're going, and I want to curtail this when you're done.
all right, good. With that, like, I would hate to be a kid trying to figure out sex nowadays. I'd probably be spanking my own ass while having sex and calling her a whore. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like,
instead of dudes trying
You like
to suck
that
their own
thing?
dick, they're trying to eat their own ass. You know what I mean? It's just like
you like that, Hal? Who's your daddy?
Well, so I actually had a conversation about this with a young lady who is about to be 20 years old, and she made the comment that she only dates older guys because younger guys expect too much. And I was like, what do you mean? And she was like, well, like when I lost my virginity, the guy wanted me to do X, Y, and Z, and I don't know what the hell's going on with that. And I can only imagine he got it from porn. And I was like, that's interesting. And like that, a lot of guys that she had been with, they had trouble actually climaxing, getting off to just sex. Like they wanted some. Really
one of the
wild
stats
shit.
I came across. One of the stats I came across earlier was like fertility rates in like millennials or people under the age of 35 have like just dropped because like things like erectile dysfunction and whatnot
Yes.
have been so prevalent because of like overexertion.
Not only that, but like you these guys at young ages. I'm be honest, see all my late teenage, early 20-year-old dudes who might be watching this. Girls don't get into that shit until a little bit later.
They gotta get bored. They gotta
Exactly.
get
You
bored.
gotta get bored.
They gotta get bored with normal shit before they go into really wild shit. Trust me on this one. But it's a thing. It's an absolute thing. Like there's dudes that are not aroused by just some good-looking naked chick.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like
You know-
they have to have like a corn cob up their ass or something weird. You know what I
Right.
mean? Like
They have like that whole movement that's going around. I'm sure that you guys have seen it on Facebook and stuff like that. That porn kills love
Yes.
movement. I mean, there is a lot of truth to that. There
Yeah.
is, these people that, yeah, they are expecting above and beyond crazy, insane expectations that, unfortunately, yeah, these young girls have no idea what it.
they're not just.
What do you
born with
mean
that
that
shit,
I need to put a
right?
pool ball up my ass or something like that? I mean, that's not normal. That's not.
So you know who actually like pioneered a lot of that does porn kill love movement?
Terry Crews.
Terry Crews. Terry Crews. Very true. He's really open about his.
Someone
addiction
told me
to
that
porn.
one time.
He's very open about his addiction to porn and like how it affected his love life and stuff like that. So like it's absolutely a thing. Absolutely a thing.
Oh, of course.
But I think this is a perfect representation of one of those negatives that this entry level addiction to technology is doing to us as a human race. Like it's affecting every aspect, whether it be positive or negative. So I don't know how you guys feel about that, but that's my stance on it. Like,
Well, and like think of the technology this way. Had Bryn not been able to research 1960s men's looks, he would never worn turtlenecks.
I think that was just an innate.
dude, look, several great men in
Addiction.
history. Several great men in history have worn turtlenex. Okay, like let's
Didn't
record
like
show.
didn't our founding fathers have something to
Absolutely.
do with that?
Well,
100%.
Yeah, it's in a video I saw.
I mean, seriously, Archer wears a turtleneck. Ethan Hunt wore a turtleneck. All right, so you back off the
Black and
turtleneck.
slightly darker black. Shades, I believe.
Yes.
Was the technical term. I still just sit with the stance that yes, we have become technologically drunk. But at what point do we become technologically so inebriated that it's become detrimental and we don't have a turnaround point?
That's the question.
I don't.
let
see
me be
how-
real with you. I think we're only at like a 6 right now.
A 6 or a solid 6?
A solid
I don't even think we're that far, man. I think as far as where I see it going, I think it's probably like a 4.
True.
I do. I think there's strides to come. That whether or not we're ready for them, that's a completely different discussion. But I think there's strides in the next decade that are going to hit, that are going to drastically change human life. I think we talked about it earlier. AI. AI is a huge deal right now.
That's just scary. AI is scary.
Even Elon Musk is doing a big push against it.
Mm-hmm.
So
Which is really ironic because his self-driving vehicles use AI. To
No.
he wants
no.
Cybertruck to be the last
So
thing.
so
let's call
that's
it that.
that's the weird thing about AI. So the AI that is used to like drive these cars and is more of an algorithm based AI. What he is pushing against is like cognitive AI.
Self-aware.
Yeah, like where they're
Skynet type
they're
shit.
yeah, exactly. They're building in a sense digital neural pathways and building a consciousness and ego, becoming as close as technology can get to being human.
What was that movie?
That's what's scary.
What was that movie that the pirate guy? That's gonna kill me. Dude, who was in Pirates of the Caribbean.
Johnny Depp.
Johnny Depp. The movie that Johnny Depp did.
It's called Transcendence or something like that.
Transcendence. Yes, like that's being able to have a consciousness that's.
Well, so that's a completely different. That's not AI though. That's literally being able to transfer your consciousness
Right.
to a digital format
But
because.
that illustrates a digital consciousness. And that's where I was going with.
Uh,
it.
But no, because that's not a consciousness built from technology. That is a consciousness, true human consciousness has been transferred to technology.
Okay.
There's a movie and I forget what it's called, so apologize for that. But it's essentially this guy who's really smart gets called in to this place, and this guy builds robots and they're conscious, like they are with it, and essentially it shows kind of that robot eventually killing everybody and locking him in there to die. So I think that I don't know, man. I guess let's kind of get closing thoughts on this subject. Starting over there.
Oh, okay. So I just that was on the spot. I mean, yeah. Okay. So like we've said, we're definitely technologically drunk. I don't believe that there's any going back from it.
No.
I believe the only thing that we can do as a society is, move forward positively and try to find ways as a society to not be as addicted to the negative aspects of it and try to relish in more of the positive that we can gain from the benefits. But, I mean, it's scary.
I feel like the line that draws from the okay to absolutely devastating is once humanity, the only purpose becomes survival. Once everything can function and take care of itself, and our only thing that we do is born and die,
Eat, sleep, shit.
Yeah.
that's when it's detrimental. And I do fear for when that's going to happen, because we look back, we talk about how how technology has advanced, but it's almost just so scary to feel like how quickly it's
Yeah.
advanced.
I mean, like we said, 20 years. That's what we're talking about here. We're talking 20 years.
Bingo. And I mean, it's only happening faster and faster and faster. So although we may think this
Moore's
is,
Law, you know.
yeah, I mean, as we may think that this is, hundreds of years down the road, it really isn't.
Yeah.
We could be talking a difference of 5.
Yeah. Well, so me, like I said, I think the answer to the question, are we technologically drunk? I think that's super easy to answer. I think the real question is it a bad thing? And my answer to that question is, at the moment, no. In the future, absolutely. I think it's especially as generations progress, well, we're going to have generations that don't know how to do simple tasks because they're too reliant on that thing.
Or something else that we don't even know hasn't even been invented yet that makes something even easier.
Another aspect of technology that's just gonna blow away. Like I said, I think within the next 10 years we'll see that that kind of jump in technology to where it absolutely again changes the human race. I think the cell phone, the smartphone more in particular, was the first thing to do that.
Mm-hmm.
As technology progressed,
Put a library in your pocket.
It snowballs, and sooner or later that snowball is so huge and moving so fast, and there's no way to get out of its way. That's where I stand on it.
Change is inevitable. It's going to happen. We're going to continue to grow with technology. There's going to be good and there's going to be bad at every step of the way. Individually, you're responsible for yourself and your family. So you need to determine how much is too much. But no matter what you decide, as you continue to get more comfortable with the technology, as it continues to, go to places we could have only dreamed, 20 years ago, just make sure that you are refining your skills and teaching your family skills on how to be self-reliable outside of technology. Because right now we're in a perfect place that if technology was wiped out, we would be fine. 50 years from now, that may not be the case if we're not teaching our kids and them teaching their kids how to self-sustain. Because it's going to continue to become easier and easier to live with technology. And we may end up getting to a point where we're fat and we're in floating recliners.
Right now we're in a Goldilocks zone.
I honestly believe we're going to end up in just test tubes in a sense with our consciousness and like
In a dream state.
Yeah. In the Matrix at that point.
It's almost like we're there, in a sense right now in a trial run.
Yeah.
When you look at your phone or you look at your technology, you're there, nothing else is going on, and you get pulled out of the Matrix, if you will, for reality.
Exactly.
You're not wrong. Well, that was a very lively discussion.
My favorite so far.
I think that's a good one. Yeah, that's one for the books.
On that note, I'm Josh.
Bryn?
Austin?
Jacob.
Thank you for watching. Tune in next time, and we'll talk to you later.